Welcome to Cinema Bites, your go-to for movie recaps in a flash. Big twists, epic moments, all in just minutes. The movie begins with the first day of these creatures arriving on Earth. We see that the day started as a completely normal, ordinary day. The father, Lee, was attending his son Marcus's baseball game. The whole family was there to cheer for the child. Lee meets his friend Emmett, whose son was also playing in the same game. But during the game, everyone is shocked when a massive fireball descends from the sky, causing people to panic and rush home. Lee takes his daughter Reagan to retrieve a car from the back street, while Evelyn, their mother, takes the other kids in her car to head home. As Lee gets into his car, he notices the police arriving and steps out to ask them what's happening. Suddenly, a strange creature attacks, forcing Lee to rush back to his car. Reagan, who is deaf, doesn't understand what's going on or why her father is acting this way. Meanwhile, Evelyn, driving with the other children, is startled when a strange creature attacks the car in front of her. As she tries to escape, she encounters a large truck coming toward her in the wrong direction, forcing her to reverse. Reagan sees this and runs toward them, but Lee quickly pulls her out of the road. They, along with others on the street, rush into a store to hide. Inside, an old man is praying loudly, and Lee quickly covers his mouth to silence him, realizing that these creatures can't see but are attracted to sound. The creatures linger around the humans in the store without seeing them, but suddenly, a nearby girl's phone rings, drawing the creature to attack the store. Lee grabs his daughter and escapes, but the creatures kill everyone else in the store. Unfortunately, the sound of Lee and Reagan running attracts the creatures, who chase after them. Meanwhile, Evelyn and her children hide behind a police car. Lee and Reagan spot them while running. A police officer tries to shoot one of the creatures, but the creature is unaffected by the bullets. Time moves forward to day 474 since the incident. Evelyn and her children leave their home to find a safer place after the creatures killed Lee the previous day. Before leaving, Evelyn retrieves a wooden box and an oxygen tank. Reagan prepares a map, compass, and other items to guide them. Reagan is shown to be very intelligent. They walk in a single file on sand paths, as usual, until they reach a new location. Evelyn cautiously enters but accidentally triggers a wire, realizing it's a trap. She warns her children to run, and they flee until a sniper, watching them from above, sees them. Unfortunately, while running, Marcus steps into a metal trap, causing him to scream in pain. Evelyn begs him to stay quiet to avoid attracting the creatures. A creature hears the noise and attacks, but Reagan uses her sound amplifier to emit high frequencies that disturb the creature. Evelyn seizes the opportunity to shoot and kill it. They carry Marcus and run to an abandoned building. Suddenly, a masked man appears, silences Evelyn, and leads them to safety in a soundproof metal vault. The man warns them that they can't stay long due to a lack of food and water. Evelyn recognizes his voice as Emmett's and reveals her newborn baby, pleading for help. Emmett hesitates but eventually helps. Later, Marcus hears music playing on the radio, leading them to believe there are other survivors. Reagan deduces that the music is a signal pointing to a nearby island and insists they head toward it. She plans to use the island's radio station to broadcast high-frequency sounds to repel the creatures. Marcus opposes Reagan's plan, fearing for her safety, but she leaves a note for her family and sets off alone the next day. Evelyn convinces Emmett to search for Reagan. Reagan follows the train tracks, finds an abandoned train, and enters to cross to the other side. She discovers a first aid kit but accidentally makes noise, attracting a creature. She uses her sound amplifier and gun to fight it, but the shot misses its head. Just when the creature gets close, Emmett arrives and kills it. They hide from other creatures that may have heard the gunfire. Emmett tells Reagan to return to her mother, but she refuses, insisting on finding a solution and asking for his help, so he wouldn't die like his wife and son did. Here, Emmett is obviously affected by her words and decides to help her. The important thing is that Reagan sleeps for a while, and when she wakes up and looks around, she doesn't find the hearing aid, the amplifier, or even Emmett. She assumes he stole them and ran away, feeling upset. She goes outside to look for him, but Emmett returns, and we understand that he didn't run away. He had only gone to look for a boat and took the hearing aid with him, in case they encountered any monsters. He informs her that he managed to find a boat. Meanwhile, Evelyn notices that her son's oxygen tank is empty. She quietly goes to search for more oxygen tanks. Of course, Marcus is very scared and begs her not to leave him alone, but she reassures him, saying he's injured and can't come with her, and promises to return in an hour. We then see Emmett and Reagan heading to the boat they found, but they sense movement and sound. Emmett grabs his gun, preparing for anything that might happen. As they walk, they find a little girl lying on the ground. Emmett approaches her to help, but the girl attacks him and ties a rope around his neck, which is connected to a large net with bells that make noise. Suddenly, a group of men appear, intending to rob them. At the same time, Marcus leaves the place and wanders around, only to find a decomposed corpse in front of him. Shocked, he falls to the ground, making a loud noise. He quickly runs back, grabs his younger brother's box, and hides in the storage room. Unfortunately, the storage room door locks him inside, and he starts suffocating. Evelyn returns just in time with 2 oxygen tanks, but is shocked to find monsters in the area. She runs to save her children, but Marcus's oxygen runs out, and he's on the verge of death. Desperately, he uses his younger brother's breathing device to share oxygen. Evelyn, who is outside, comes up with a clever trick. She notices a leaking gas cylinder and sets it on fire to attract the monsters, giving her time to protect her children. The cylinder explodes, injuring the monster. Meanwhile, Emmett and Reagan realize the men didn't just want to rob them, they also intended to abduct Reagan. Using sign language, Emmett signals her to jump into the water. She does, and Emmett attacks the man holding her. Suddenly, monsters begin to attack them. They quickly jump into the water, and Emmett fights off the man holding him. When the man screams, Emmett dives into the water, and a monster attacks and kills the man. Emmett notices that the monster that followed them into the water can't swim and starts to drown. He also sees the other monsters standing on the shore, unwilling to enter the water. He realizes their second weakness is water. Suddenly, someone pulls him onto the boat. It's Reagan. Meanwhile, Evelyn notices that the fire doesn't harm the monster, but the water flooding the area to extinguish the fire distracts it. She moves quietly to her children and quickly opens the door, finding Marcus unconscious. She revives him, and he wakes up. Emmett and Reagan finally reach the island with the radio station. They are shocked to see people living normal lives there, playing music and enjoying life without fear. The residents welcome them, offering food and water. The station manager is surprised that Reagan understood the purpose of the music despite being deaf. Emmett explains that they didn't come seeking help, but rather to offer it. He reveals that the hearing aid emits frequencies that kill the monsters. If they can broadcast these frequencies from the station to the world, all the monsters will hear it and die, ending the global crisis. Later, Emmett tells Reagan that the station manager agreed to the plan. She is thrilled and thanks him for his help. As Emmett stands by the shore, he hears a strange noise. Following the sound, he discovers that the boat carrying the monster has drifted to the island. Realizing the water moved the boat, he rushes to warn the residents, but it's too late. The island is overrun by monsters attacking everyone. The station manager takes them in his car to the station, but on the way, a monster attacks the car. Fortunately, they manage to escape and reach the station. However, as soon as they arrive, a monster attacks and kills the station manager. Emmett and Reagan quickly hide. Reagan gathers her courage and quietly makes her way to the studio. Unfortunately, as she opens the door, it makes a noise, attracting the monster. It attacks Emmett, injuring his leg. Emmett locks Reagan inside to protect her. At the same time, Evelyn leaves the storage room, thinking there are no monsters outside, only to be surprised by one behind her. She rushes back to the storage room, but the monster uses its strength to tear off the door and attack them. Meanwhile, Reagan manages to open the door to the studio and broadcast the hearing aid's frequencies worldwide. Marcus hears the broadcast and bravely uses the recording to ward off the monster. He grabs their gun and shoots it. At the same time, Reagan attacks the monster with a sharp object, killing it. With this, they realize they can now kill all the monsters in the world. Evelyn is proud of Marcus's bravery, and Emmett is equally proud of Reagan's courage. Thus, the second part of the movie ends. Stay tuned for the third part, coming soon. If you enjoyed this summary, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay updated when we release the third part.